Yo, what is up YouTube? Evolution here, back with another PlayStation 4 information video here on the channel. Make sure you leave a like, comment down below on what PS4 firmware that you are currently sitting at right now. So we did talk about update 13.52 that came out a couple of days ago. I do have more information that I want to share with you. Now, we did talk about how Bdjb userland bug was patched on 13.52 because the code got removed. And he also said right here that I did not include, this also got changed in root cert manager.java. So now, as of today, he said 13.52 PS4 kernel patches a bug in UV-FAT, read up case table. So he did have an article about this. He tweeted about it. And basically, we have a kernel bug for 13.50. And hold up, there's more. Master said here on Twitter, yes, this is my bug, and I reported it a while back. And then this guy below said, what's next? Is a JB possible? Then Master said it's too early to promise a JB. The bug gave a kernel memory corruption primitive, and Sony patch confirms the root cause. Turning that into a stable JB is a different stage, and it needs more work. He said there's no ETA. A stable JB needs more than one kernel bug, and I don't want to give false promises. When something is real and safe to share, people will know. He said here before, a couple of months ago, he said after a long RE plus debugging session, he said finally reached a much clearer understanding of a kernel space memory corruption primitive on PS4 firmware 13.50. Still quite a journey ahead for stable exploitation, but mapping the primitive's constraints was the hardest part. So he did upload this photo here of him running his own bug. So he did give us an update today. He said Sony appears to have fixed the PS4 exFAT upcase table bug that I reported. I have no clue when he did report it, but he says down below, the new firmware adds a pre-roundup overflow check before allocating the upcase buffer, blocking the integer wrap path that led to kernel heat corruption on firmware 13.50. Root cause has been confirmed. So this is a kernel bug, which we need, okay? But Stefan here on Twitter said it's not usable for a JB. It only causes kernel panic when you try to increase the data size. And Master said if you can get the KASLR, you can do a JB. So Master's kernel bug that was patched on 13.52, if he were to get kernel read and write, this would be a full-blown kernel bug. And we compare it with view after free using PlayStation View as the userland, because you need a userland with a kernel bug to get a full JB, and we will be able to JB our consoles using Bdjb. A lot of you guys think that Gazine does not have a 0-day kernel bug for PS4 and PS5. I really do believe he has one, and he even showed it on Twitter before his page got taken down, working on 13.50. He even made this tweet back in April 15th, confirming to us that he had a PS4 and 5 0-day kernel bug, which is completely different from what I'm talking about with the exFAT kernel bug. But he said here, I will make sure to ask Sony to patch all the bugs before September. So he might give up that kernel bug to Sony. And I'm pretty sure if Gazine has that kernel bug, it works on 13.52. But let's go back to the exFAT upcase kernel memory bug that Master found. And he said without a reliable KASLR bypass and stable kernel read and write primitive, you can't turn it into a useful JB. That is what we need with his kernel bug. So let's break this down. The exFAT kernel bug refers to a heap-based buffer overflow vulnerability discovered by the prominent security researcher Andy, known as the Flow. It is a massive milestone in the PlayStation scene because it allowed for custom firmware and homebrew execution on both the PS4 and PS5. So the Flow found something similar on what Master found and was patched on 13.52. The core vulnerability. The Flow identified a flaw in Sony's implementation of the exFAT file system. The trigger. The vulnerability can be triggered by inserting a malformed exFAT USB flash drive into the console. The mechanism, when the system attempts to parse or mount the malicious USB, it triggers a heap-based buffer overflow. This allows arbitrary code execution with kernel-level privileges. This bug effectively shattered the console security model, allowing developers to execute arbitrary payloads, bypass hypervisor restrictions, and access system files. Moving on, this exFAT bug that was found by the Flow was heavily utilized in the popular PS4 9.0 JB. Users relied on custom formatted exFAT USB images injected via the web browser to trigger the kernel bug. Man, this is crazy. PS5. The Flow later demonstrated that variations in bug chains involving these exFAT Blu-ray Bdjb vulnerabilities also proved effective against early PlayStation 5 firmware versions. So what Master found is something very similar to what Andy the Flow found back on PS4 for 9.0, which got a JB. But the only issue with Master's kernel bug is that we need a KASLR bypass. So if I was a JB dev, even though I'm not, here's what I would start doing. Use the known userland entry points like view after free and Bdj to get code running on the console, which is the PS4. Then I would need to find a separate kernel information leak bug to slide past KASLR. And then step 3, we need to map out the memory offsets for firmwares 13.02 all the way up until 13.50. And then step 4, use the exFAT bug to safely gain arbitrary read and write privileges without crashing the system. So what Master reported, his kernel bug and got paid $10,000 for, all he needs is to bypass KASLR. Once that is done, we have a full-blown kernel bug and we can get a JB. Until then, I'll keep you guys updated and posted. If you have any questions, comment down below and I'll catch you guys on the next video. Thank you for watching. Peace out.